Now we come to the good stuff. We're going to talk about consulting and what I decided to do. So I had a meeting with the peeps, the three managers that I'm talking to at the factory. And I had asked them to do something a week prior when I was still there. And they said they would do it. Only one per they all gathered together, even though I asked each individually to kind of write it down. They all gathered together and they responded with one article, which was super basic at best. But I took that, I read it a couple of times, and I had a meeting with them. And the meeting was on the basis of what were my expectations and how kind of they could have done better. And from there, what they sent me, I wanted them to dissect it, and I wanted each one of them to kind of label their own responsibility on it. And the way I thought of it is I thought of if I actually told them what I wanted out of them without them firstly establishing that that's what they want to do, that would probably cause unresolved tension in the future because it will feel like I'm imposing on them when the reality is I'm supposed to be consulting for what they are doing. So even though I know what I want them to do, I couldn't actually tell them that unless they kind of like tell me. Uh, I could at best guide them to do the right thing, which would be an easier transition to them from what they're used to doing to what they're doing right now, to what they're going to be doing right now. So I asked them for two things. I asked them for a summary of the week that we had together and how basically what are the things they thought about, what are the things they started considering differently, what are the things that impacted their work, what are the things that impacted because all we did was have conversations about work. Like remember, my goal was for them to kind of like elaborate on every single detail they could about what they do so that they would understand clearly when I ask them to do stuff that needs to be changed. They know what they told me, and they whatever I tell them or we discuss with them, they can allocate it directly to what they want to do. So I asked them for these two things, and this is what I want to discuss right now. The one thing I asked them was a summary of their interaction with me, basically, and what they contributed to their life. And the second thing was what do they do right now? And I wanted to use that as the base of the plans that we have to build towards. Because ultimately these plans are step by step. We have to take everything that they're doing and we have to start either elevating it, refining it, or basically considering a way for it to be a more sustainable approach because we have to professionalize. And the term I read back, there has to be a certain system that does works on its own. And we have to figure out what it is. What is the actual system that operates without them in order for us to establish that as a strong base and then level up from there. So each one of them basically sent me stuff. And the cute part about it is I asked them like to because they can't write English. They know English, they're just not used to it. So one of the things that I told them they have to do is basically send me in English. I don't care if they use Google Translate, if they translate one word, or if they just go to an AI and be like, "No, hey guys, take this in Arabic and transfer it to English." And what I want to do as well, because right now, because I have a meeting with them tomorrow, and this is basically for me to prepare myself mentally to what I would ask them tomorrow. The next step that I would want to be engaging with when it comes to them would be a one-on-one meeting in order to dive into the details more of their job and what are the things that they actually like, what are the things that they consider before they do what they do normally every day. And I think that's relevant because the more they understand how their work, how much time is consumed on the tasks that they have on a daily basis, the more we'll be able to allocate specific amounts of time or specific things towards them, or at the very least, the systemization starts looking differently. I'm excited for one thing. I'm excited to see how they evolve and how they communicate with me because I'm forcing English on them. And my logic as well behind that is in order for them to be able to engage with different kinds of clientele, but mainly most of the resources online are English. And even though there are research studies that are done all over the world, most publications that are worldwide are in the English language. And if we're to research anything and if they were to kind of evolve anything, I don't want them to evolve into from a translated standpoint. Because normally people tend to kind of like, I don't know, like I realized that when I was like studying code, the people that are everyone explains differently. And sometimes you can't necessarily relate to a certain topic. So you have to kind of like engage with the topic on multiple ways. And sometimes multiple people, sometimes multiple levels, sometimes like multiple divisions or environments where the topic is used in order for you to truly grasp an understanding. And I think for that you need like a strong, solid command of the language that you're reading in or you're listening in or you kind of like that those kinds of stuff. So I really feel their actual evolution would start once their competence in the English language starts leveling up. And for me personally, it eases up how I communicate with them. It's probably more of a selfish thing from my perspective. But the goal is for them to kind of like tell me how they would want to build things, which I am considering a more lazy approach because I can sit and kind of formulate a plan from today till tomorrow, but if they don't follow it, what's the point? But right now, I'm not putting as much effort as I need to or as I should, or that's probably the conversation I'm having in my head. Because I'm taking what they give me and I elaborate with it on it with them. And as we add more details when we're elaborating with each other, then basically slow and steady, we kind of build each one's individual structure. But all I'm doing is basically referring to the details that they normally wouldn't listen to. So, in general, that's how I feel the consulting work should be done, or at the very least, that's how I feel it should be done with them right now. And I'm excited for the moments where I'm actually planning because, like, we have a couple of like advertising campaigns that we have to consider. But again, like, we have to prepare for how they're going to be implemented. And it doesn't matter how good of a job I do if they're not actually like able to handle the workload that comes after my job, then what exactly am I doing? So maybe I'm feeling a little guilty or I'm feeling a bit more lax when it comes to these things. But mostly what I'm doing is trying to explore how far they can go before they actually need help or before they realize that they never needed help to begin with. Because that's how I feel. I literally just I sought guidance and then I basically did it myself. Every single time I approached something, I'd always gonna like open my eyes to see who does it, and then when I kind of see, I jump on it myself. And eventually, I got out of actually looking at people. I just started researching better or differently, or just engaging it in a different way, or just kind of finding out how things are done in the real world through research websites, lectures, whatever, instead of like actually having somebody kind of help me get out of my head. And I think that'll be one of the most important steps that we actually like achieve. And I'm hoping we can do that over the next couple of weeks because if we take these 2 weeks as I'm studying and as I'm doing all these things, the things that I'm doing, and we're able to establish a solid foundation between how we communicate and the things that we're going to be doing, then by the time I take the course in the future and on the 15th of the actual month, by the time I take the course, I would 100% basically, I would be able to rely that they're understanding me. So anything we do basically becomes an easier back and forth. So establishing a stronger base, establishing a stronger connection, it kind of always is the thing, right? Like with everything you do, the minute you establish a solid foundation, then everything else is built on top of it. And it's a solid foundation that requires the most thought and the most effort because that's where you're going to start from. And then when that is done, then it's just basically pre-planned slash structured work that you're taking step by step. And if you have a solid foundation, you don't have to worry about anything behind you. All you care about is the next thing you're going to be doing tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. But it comes with a certain confidence. It comes with a certain, like, this is what I'm providing. This is what I could add on it. This is where my weak points are. This is where my strong points are. This is where I'm emotional. This is where I'm professional. This is where I'm systematized. This is where I'm random. This is where the job takes me. This is where I take the job. All of these are very important things to kind of like consider with every step you take. But if you consider them from the beginning, then everything you do on top of that comes with a much clearer understanding of how you would actually develop what you want to develop. Huh. It's a good ending. All right. Thank you.